to call to order the Engineering and Equipment Committee meeting for July 26th. It's 3 o'clock. And call to order. I think any public notice?
No public notice.
All right. Moving right along to item number 1, Capital Improvement Program Annual Report.
I'm going to go ahead and hand this one over to both Jason and Ryan, but as the board may recall, per our policy or ordinance, we do an annual report at the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
So at this point, we've had last fiscal year's capital improvement projects sum up, and I think they're going to be not only going over the projects, but maybe going over some more details also. Jason?
Yeah, Ryan's got this, and he'll drive.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. It's my pleasure to share the last fiscal year's 2021, 2022 CIP annual report, and also not agendized. I'm going to cover real quick before we get to that the CIP quarter 4 update. And to do that, I'm just going to exit my screen share. And okay, so if you go to the website and go to departments, engineering, select engineering, come down to the capital facilities cog in the wheel. You can select active capital improvement projects. And it's here where you'll see an interactive map. And if you prefer to have a listed view of the projects, you can come up here and click on this CIP project information to give you a listed view. I just wanted to demonstrate this is available to any board member anytime they want to see what we're doing in CIP. They get updated on a quarterly basis. 2 projects I'm going to highlight today are, let's see, so if you come to the thumbnail and you select it, it gives you a brief introduction of the project, and if you click on this link down here, it takes you to the full update page. And this specific project, sewer lining and rehab 2021, is just now getting started in construction. We've gotten past traffic control, planning and permitting, and mobilization, and so the crews will actually be, starting this week, will be working out in the streets. So that's good news. This one is moving forward. The other one I wanted to showcase today is another priority project here at the district, the emergency bypass rehabilitation project. I can share that this project is currently out for bid advertisement. We've gotten a good response from local contractors expressing their interest in this one. So we are through design. It's in bid phase now, and we expect to open bids later in August, late August. And when that gets going, we'll be very busy, not just on an inspection standpoint, but design and CM as well during construction phase services. Okay, and those are the only updates I wanted to give the board members at this time. Do you have any questions on the quarterly update?
No?
Okay. I'm just going to get back to the presentation. Okay, getting right into the CIP annual report, what we did all year last year. So in summary, construction contract work, we totaled just under $10 million. That's a big number, and it's a little bit misleading of a number because a large chunk of the San Marcos Interceptor Phase 2 project got carried over into this fiscal year because it wasn't completely paid out in full. We did a retention payment. I believe we did one additional contractor pay application, which wasn't retention, so some of that money got carried over into the fiscal year, even though there wasn't a whole lot of actual construction work being done, really none, on the San Marcos Interceptor Phase 2. What we did get taken care of, what we did accomplish this fiscal year was the Metal Arc Bioselector improvement project, the improvements to the aeration basins. So a couple small contracts at Metal Arc for the Headworks augers improvements and the Odor Scrubber 1 replacement project. Additionally, we also had the Sage Canyon tank refurbishment project in this, and some additional small work, really. From a design standpoint, it was a very design-heavy year. We kind of cycled out of some large construction projects and ramped up in design, which I'll show you a little bit more later. But on the year, we paid to date about $2.23 million out of $1 million out of about 3.2 contract amount dollars wrapped up in design services. Total on the year, we only had 6 change orders, which amounted to $350,787. The interceptor change order is in that, which is primarily why it's a little bit higher, but that's in total of 3.5% of the original contract work. So the new contract total just peaked over that $10 million threshold on the year. And this is just a summary of the recap of that breakdown.
So Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Could you go back to that?
Mm-hmm.
So up at the top, that budget amount, the 41,574,000, is
Yes.
that everything with, I don't understand that figure.
That amount is we will verify that amount is correct, but that should be the total budget amount of all active CIPs for construction and design and planning.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And so the contract amount is just construction contract?
Yes, sir, in the yellow, yes.
All right,
That's
that
correct.
explains it.
Yep.
And you don't have to verify, that's absolutely correct.
Hmm?
You don't have to verify, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. You'll see the cash flow projection versus our actual spent. The previous years really is representative of the interceptor, which kind of carried over. And then you'll see big decrease in spending between July 21 to June 2022. And in that amount of spending and this is purely construction. That's the biological selector aeration-based improvements and Sage tank refurbishments and retention payment for interceptor. Other small miscellaneous jobs are also included in there, but they're just less significant than those other projects I just mentioned. Looking back 10 years, or really all the way back to 2007, 2008, keeping tabs on the metrics each year, 2021-22 was more or less on par with what we'd expect. We had a lot of spending, as we are just under $10 million of spending, and our change order totals were 3.52%. So on average, over the last multiple years, we're averaging a change order percentage rate of about 3.8, and on average, an annual contract spending of roughly $5.8 million. We extrapolate this out, so to say with our total contract, if we weren't under 5% change orders and we say we weren't actively managing our projects very well and that change order percentage rate crept up to 15%, how much would we be spending with that same contract total that we have? Well, that delta is roughly about $9.7 million in change order spending that we did not realize because we actively manage our projects. And that goes a long way. As you know, mistakes in construction can be very costly as opposed to mistakes in design. Just to show you the recap of completed projects in the fiscal year, we really just have the 4, Interceptor Phase 2, Bioselector, Headworks improvements, and then the Odor Scrubber 1. Sage Canyon is still ongoing, so it did not make this list. And we also highlight with the asterisk, really the Bioselector project is reimbursed from debt proceeds. And that's about it on that slide. We're going to also showcase design projects. Since it was a design-heavy year, I wanted to convey that we've been very active in design. And this last fiscal year, we had 6 new design projects awarded. That was the conversion to sodium hypochlorite at Metal Art, the chlorine contact tank expansion, Metal Arcs landscape improvements projects, Las Posas 10-inch water main replacement, maintenance services building C tenant improvements, and then the energy management study. All these contracts combined, just over $1 million. And the Las Posas water line budget is reimbursable from debt proceeds.
Question.
Yes.
Out of these projects here, are we doing most of them in-house, consultants outside? What's the percentage there?
Well, we're project managing all of them.
You're managing them all, yes.
Yes. Most of these projects are larger in scale. We did not design any of these projects in-house. We have
Okay.
consultants on board for every single one. But some are smaller than others. For instance, the Las Posas 10-inch water main replacement. We've been very involved with the consultant during design to come up with feasibility analysis and some evaluation of a couple design alternatives to really decide what we want to do to improve this water main. So we have been very much a part of the planning and design of these projects.
In general, we don't have the capacity in-house to take on a larger design project. It'd take all of our staff time.
Yeah.
We have the ability to, we just don't have the
Yeah.
capacity.
The 10 projects before you are the active CIP projects in design, not just the newly kicked off ones. Those marked with an asterisk are reimbursed from debt proceeds. And so you can see we've been very busy, totaling nearly $2.3 million of contract design. And of that, we've spent to date just over $1.2 million. So 53% of the contract value we're working towards final design. And as you might expect, when we are heavy in design, we are kind of light in construction. And when we're heavy in construction, we're kind of light in design. This is actual data that we pulled from historic fiscal years going back to fiscal year 2011 and 12. I thought it was kind of interesting the way it is, the data is kind of representative of what we would expect. As you can see, it's very cyclical, almost, you can model it with almost a sine wave. You can see in fiscal years 16, 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19, we actually were a little bit ahead of what we would project, and then we kind of fell short in the latter years, which is kind of what you would expect, and then we caught up in 21, 22. So I just thought that this data was kind of interesting and representative of what we would expect. So if this is designed, basically your construction sine wave would be the inverse of this. One project in particular, design project, we wanted to bring to the engineering committee's attention is the Montiel lift station, which is currently in final design. We're working our way to 100% design drawings, and we're hoping to get out to bid in the fall, after summer. We are currently in the midst of easement acquisitions for what you see in the green shaded area is a 10-foot wide proposed permanent easement on the Coles Fine Flooring property, which our existing lift station currently resides on. There is a 20-foot wide easement just west, or on the page you're looking at in the upward direction. We do have an existing 20-foot easement there. We really need this existing 10-foot easement to improve the site with our proposed generator, proposed electrical control building and restroom, and antenna mast, which is all going to be part of the final design. Denoted in the red and purple shaded regions are a proposed temporary construction easement and a proposed permanent easement on a future hotel development site, which is next door to our Montiel lift station. So the red TCE, the large shaded region, the purple permanent easement will both be, we are going to be making offers on those easement acquisitions to those property owners. Similarly, with the green property to the Kohl's Fine Flooring, we're also going to be initiating those offer letters in the next week. So we hope to be able to report back to the engineering committee and eventually the entire board in the next couple months regarding the outcome of this acquisition and then I guess the future next steps that we'll have to take. I don't know, Jason or James, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just gonna say, just for some background, and this temporary lift station, I believe, was constructed in 1985, and it's been temporary ever since. So this has been on our radar for quite a long time to update, and as Ryan said, we've been working on it for a while. So of those 6 projects that we initiated last year, this was already on the books from the previous year. So when we talk about capacity, yeah, these types of projects can really kind of eat up staff time as we try to work through the design, including, right-of-way acquisition. So Ryan and the staff have been working on this right-of-way acquisition, been working with BBK on making sure we're following the process and doing everything properly. It's been quite a challenge. So the next actions coming to the board will be CEQA adoption in September. We're shooting for September 7th. So we want to give you just a preview that that's coming for this project. And then after that, it'll really determine on the negotiation with the 2 property owners, how does that go? We're hoping that it goes well and we can negotiate this temporary and permanent easements. There's a possibility it could not go well, we'll see. But we're working in good faith and we're following the process. So we will probably be bringing back in late September what's called a resolution of necessity. So if we end up going that direction, wanted to give you kind of a heads up that we're working through that process. So.
Okay,
Very good.
Okay.
all right.
Getting back to the update, we also had projects in construction. This slide is really showing you ongoing construction projects as well as those which completed in the last fiscal year. So really it's just showing the ongoing work. Palos Vista Pump Station motor starters, for instance, is kicking off, and so is the sewer lining and rehab 2021 project, as I mentioned previous. Some photos of us in the field, crews installing the new odor scrubber number 1, and also flying in the MRF headworks improvements into the headworks building, the auger improvements into the headworks building. Aeration basin successfully was accepted by the board at the last meeting, and just some photos of that effort. These are the new ceramic discs and the air lines that are at the bottom of the basin. They're currently in the field and dialing in the biologicals and getting that up to speed at Meadowlark. Sage Canyon tank refurbishment is also ongoing. Construction should be approaching completion by the end of August. So some photos from inside the tank and also the exterior shell of Sage Canyon, large reservoir. And lastly, the not highlighted because technically it's not a CIP project, but as you know, the Tesla battery energy storage systems project, which district received grant funding to install Tesla power packs and a Tesla mega pack at Meadowlark. The only site on this list in front of you which did not make the final cut is the Twin Oaks pump station at the Twin Oaks reservoirs. Long story, working with SDG&E and the CPUC, and it's not a completed deal yet. We're actually still in talks to see if there is possibly a path forward still. But the solar system that's at Twin Oaks is, SDG&E is saying we can't have both. We can't have both. We can't have the Res BCT system at Twin Oaks and a BESS there as well. It's a bit of a gray area in fine print. That's kind of what we've been working with our solar consultant and legal dealing with SDG&E and Tesla. But we've been very successful at installing these, as you see at Double Peak Pump Station, and also right here at headquarters out front. You can see them. We are approaching final installation commissioning at all the sites except for Meadowlark, which we're going to build a retaining wall. It's to basically house the mega pack, which is a very large battery that's going to be down at the treatment plant. That'll come first, and we expect that Tesla battery pack, mega pack, to be kicking off probably around November, December of this year.
What kind of lifetime do these guys have?
Contractually, I believe Tesla owns them for 10 years, and then they turn them over to, and then,
So basically we got them free through a
Yeah.
grant, so they're all free, and then they come with a 10-year maintenance contract where Tesla maintains for 10. They're ours though. At the end of 10 years, we could take over maintenance, we could give it back to Tesla, we could keep it, we have options. So we could say we're done with them and Tesla will take them, we could keep them, no additional cost to us, but then we have to maintain them, or we could contract with Tesla to maintain them.
But their life expectancy
Your
is?
life expectancy is probably, they didn't give me a number when I said it, but they're saying probably 30 years, but there's degradation that happens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's 25 years is what they give us. Yeah, I thought it was 30, but it's 25. And
Well,
obviously,
everybody's talking about that for their own residential solar projects, putting in a battery and just going off the grid and seeing.
and same with panels, they kind of degrade slowly over time.
Yeah,
you know.
So are these meant to shift or to go, to
So,
shut off on peak period?
so the grant is for emergencies, so it's technically speaking, they're based on, they're in a high fire area, we serve multiple communities to it, and we qualify because during that portion, we can run off the batteries instead. However, in utilizing it on an everyday purpose, we are allowed to utilize it to help maybe offset some peak energy costs. But then we still have to keep a reserve. So we'll have to play with that. It might take our operations staff some time to dial it in to the point where we're still meeting the statutes of why we have the batteries in the first place
I see.
and still get advantage. But there was a calculation done by our consultant that did show some savings over a period of time for having the battery, savings electrical costs to us. We won't realize it in year one though. It'll take a little while for us to figure that out.
And the savings was based
Based on
avoiding some unpeak
some peak
usage?
charges, yes, especially at the sewer facilities.
Yeah.
And even though it's absolutely free to the district, the labor costs and time was not. So the engineering staff, both Ryan and Lucas behind him they've done an amazing job taking it off my hands and doing all the dirty work. So I want to thank them here. So thank you guys.
Yeah, even though he says it's not a CIP project, they've done the heavy lift, and most recently getting this project out, the retaining wall that we need at Meadowlark. So we are looking at that, how much can we shave off the peak. That kind of plays into the equation of what's the rate of return for our investment, because like you said,
So how
they're
much-
free, but we still have to
How
build.
much load is it Meadowlark in KW?
It's definitely our biggest. Was it? What do you call it, Lucas? Yeah.
The kilowatt hours there. Well, we could get back to you and give you that information.
and then this is the, just another, what site is this? House with Double Peak. So this is the pad they're pouring at Double Peak for Tesla, and Double Peak again.
So essentially it was emergency backup was,
That's the basis of the grant.
Yeah.
That concludes the CIP annual report. We did have a very busy design year, even though we did a fair amount of construction as well. We expect, as we go out to bid and enter into construction with a lot of kind of heavy hitter projects for the district, next year's annual report will probably be a heavy construction year. So at least that's what we're hoping for.
I didn't see anything as far as historical on budget, what we budget for capital each year versus what we actually do, end up doing. Do you have an idea? Or?
We do, it's actually in our Wes's budget, he puts that in, so it's annual, so we don't recapture it here.
Okay.
For this case, we could probably add it though, if the committee
Yeah,
would like
that
to see
might be
it.
helpful.
Yeah, but you guys are getting a preview. Ryan's gonna present this to the full board, so yeah, any feedback, we can
Yeah, I
incorporate
mean,
it.
it's each year, it's, you know, it's easy to kind of put off projects for one reason or another. I just want to make sure that we're not, you know, putting off essential projects.
And they tend to get more expensive.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Are there any other questions or recommendations
no.
for the, okay,
I'm good.
okay.
So the two items, when we bring it back is we'll answer back with the kilowatt hours of the Meadowlark.
KW load.
Yeah, KW load for Meadowlark, and then we'll add in the historical CIP budget over that time and add it to
Budget
network.
versus actual.
Budget versus actual. okay.
Perfect.
Right.
With that, anything else?
Nope. I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to add? All right. Done.